Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today, I'm joined by Michael Cahill. Thrilled to welcome him. He's the co-founder of Douro Labs and the innovative Pyth network, a groundbreaking Oracle solution designed to bridge real-world data and blockchain applications. I'm not a financial advisor. With a strong background in technology and finance, Michael has been at the forefront of transforming how DeFi operates by ensuring reliable and accurate data feeds. His insights into the evolving landscape of oracles are invaluable, and I'm excited to dive into his journey and the impact of Pyth network on the crypto ecosystem. Michael, welcome to the show. To kick it off, just let's talk a little bit. How did you get into this space? Like everybody's, how did you get into crypto? But how did you specifically get into this area of crypto with oracles and data and things like that?
Yeah, sure. I've got a background in traditional finance. My first job was on the trading floor at Morgan Stanley in FX in New York, 2006. It was a really interesting time. The markets were moving from voice or kind of manual to electronic. And I realized that that was going to be the kind of the future direction of that industry. And so I decided to try and get as close as possible into who I thought were going to be the winners. So then I started working at HFTs or high frequency trading firms. I went to one called KCG, was eventually bought by Virtu. And then I worked my way over to Jump trading, and Jump was big in the crypto space early on. And I started working at Jump in crypto in 2019. We had a front seat, and actually my hypothesis when I joined there was, this is going to be like working at a company where you get to meet Steve Jobs when he's in the garage, right? Like I'm going to get in front of the coolest and smartest people. And not only did that pan out to be true, it gave me the opportunity to kind of co-found Pyth and be a founder myself. So that's been really, really exciting. But just to kind of unpack it a little bit further, you know, there's certain market structure changes that really enable like a lot of different evolutions, right? So the first one when I saw was kind of this electronification of the markets. That meant that there was new participants like these algorithmic trading firms. When we were at Jump and we were looking at this transition into DeFi, there were several components that we thought were really good. Obviously, the ability to have like a globalized state machine where you can effectively trade anything around the world, send anything of value is incredibly attractive, but requires a tremendous amount of infrastructure building. And some of the gaps that we saw were around the Oracle problem. And in particular, the Oracle problem was not solved when taking into consideration that the majority of the market data for finance in the traditional markets is run in these kind of walled gardens where there's about $7 or $8 billion of revenue that the exchanges charge to get access to this data. And that model is not going to work with the current solution. So Chainlink at the time would allow nodes to scrape information off the internet. That actually worked really well when it was just for crypto, but we hypothesized that not only would that not work for traditional asset classes, because it's going to be kind of too slow, it's going to give you a really inferior product on crypto, you're going to get sued by these large companies because it breaks their business model, their monopolies. So that was what we really viewed as the core crux of the problem. And the Pyth network was the answer to that.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. I think that there are so many applications for Oracle data feeds and price feeds, bringing things off chain onto on chain. And really, I think a better way to look at it in my perspective is bringing the real world to the digital in a lot of ways. And so when it comes to Pyth and what you guys are doing, and I think it's phenomenal because it's really the first time that I've seen a project that I think is a competitor to Chainlink. We've seen Band Protocol, we've seen Teller, we've seen all kinds of these projects. Dia's doing okay. We've seen a lot of these over the last few years, but nobody has been able to do more than make a dent on Chainlink. And you guys have done a lot of really cool stuff, and you have actually been making some progress. So can you explain the core mission of Pyth Network and how it differentiates itself from other Oracle solutions like Chainlink, and how have you guys done it better so far than anybody else to where you guys are viable?
Yeah. So the core value proposition of an Oracle is to solve for trust, right? You spend all this time building into the state of the blockchain, these trust mechanisms. So proof of stake, proof of work. And so the state is embedded with various things that are kind of programmatic trust. As soon as you bring in something exogenous, something outside of that state, well, you break the trust. So that's what oracles do, is they try and preserve trust across blockchain. So it's real world to blockchains, it's blockchain to blockchain, it's exchanges to dexes, that sort of thing. And so the first version of this was, as you mentioned, is Chainlink. And the way that they solve for trust is they had this whole network of nodes. And for the most part, they would rely on endpoints that were on the public internet. and they would replay them and use some very simple algorithms. But their distribution and their trust was derived from the fact that there's a bunch of different nodes reading from the same source. And so it's very difficult for one of them to lie about that source data, because there's, say 5 others that are going to give you a different price, and you can easily filter that out. That's fine. And that actually does solve for trust, but it does so at a consequence of speed. And so in the kind of the early versions of DeFi in 2019, 2020, Compound, Ethereum block time was 12 seconds. Chainlink was pushing prices at either 50 basis points move or 24 hours. That was like their heartbeat. And so when you come to the world of high frequency trading and somebody tells you that that's how often the markets are updating, you just realize that the inefficiencies are so insurmountable that the solution will never actually work. There's no chance that DeFi would ever encapsulate TradFi or CeFi. It was kind of dead in the water. So we really needed to figure out how we're going to innovate to solve for trust at more speed. And so this is where the idea of straight to the source kind of comes in. And so the Pyth network wants to solve the price of any asset at the time of 0 and bring that on chain so that anybody can use it.